Welcome. And thank you for all the love I see over here in the chat. You guys are just fantastic. And thank you, Grenarly Carlson. Thank you very much for becoming a member of the YouTube channel here. It's much appreciated. You're a CE1. Thank you. Of course, this is the pre-premiere for tonight's show. It continues to this day. Which is about an experience I had when I was living with my grandmother for a year in Burney, California in 1963. That was a rough year because that's the same year that Kennedy was assassinated. There are a lot of other things going on too. I mean, the 60s was just as rough as today. But I actually think it's a bit rougher today. Maybe it's the same. But anyway, I digress. I wanted to talk about our friend, Whitley Strieber. I just watched his show on with Brett Elders on Billy Meyer case, and he's got a new look. I wasn't aware of that. It just love what he's done with the show. It's a really nice change. I always enjoy listening to Whitley. He makes me laugh a lot because we both, Mary and I, know him so well. But I have to say that I know how a lot of you feel about Billy Myers, but I know a lot of people feel that the crop circles are all fake too, just because of the media and the intelligence community, which gave you that opinion. You just didn't know it, especially when it comes to the crop circles, but also Billy Meyer. And I know you heard there were models. I knew a guy that wrote a book that infiltrated him and went there and told me how he's just a liar and he had a model and all this kind of stuff. Well, Brett will tell you that they had a model built by a Hollywood special effects person, a small model, because they wanted to try to duplicate what Billy did, and they couldn't do it. Not only that, they analyzed his photographs professionally and found them not to be fake, that they could see. There were no strings or visible means of support. And according to the pixel analysis, one of the crafts was 21 feet across, which is a pretty good trick for a one-armed man to do alone by himself in Switzerland. So I would encourage you all to go back and take a closer look. Dun, 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 dun. I love that show. At the Billy Meyer case. I think there's some real substance to it. I also wanted to talk about Dr. Roger Lear, who was a good friend of mine. He was a very good friend of Whitley's and Yvonne's. We were all very close to him. He was a really neat guy. And he took a lot of flack from the intelligence community and the nuts and bolts researchers. You know who they are. They have many, many channels on YouTube where they profess expertise on the subject of UFOs and discount the experiences of people who have actually been inside those UFOs. This is an ongoing problem. There's these two camps, and we're just not, given the voice we need to have, which is why we're doing what we're doing right now. And Roger was right there with us because he had his own experiences. I don't know if he ever talked to anyone about it, but he did. I used to go out in the field with Roger and investigate. We investigated a crash site in Simi Valley. Long story, but it was amazing. Climbing over barbed wire fences with Roger Lear into private property to get to a location where there was a crash site. Of course, whatever was there was long since removed within a matter of, hours of it happening, but you could still see where it happened. But the great part about it was here's Roger in a suit and tie, looking kind of like Dr. Jalen Hynek, wandering around out there with me, knee deep in grass and stuff. And that's the kind of guy he was. He got out there in the field and he got his hands dirty, and it was great. But this book was really great too. And I don't know how many of you people are aware of this book. You can see very faintly the communion style alien. This was a book cover that I did for Roger for his first book on the subject. And I had this photograph that was taken during one of the implant removals, and I put the whole thing together in early Photoshop. This was about 1997. The book came out in 98. And of course, Roger signed it to me, and thanked me for my work and working with him. And this is a very cherished book. It's amazing how expensive this book was back in 1998. It was $24.95. That would be almost double that today. In Canada, it was $31.95. But one of the interesting things about it is, and I forgot about this until I was looking through it, is that this book was backed and published, or at least the money went for publishing it, by Mr. Robert Bigelow himself, who's a very questionable figure in this field. And it says right here, there's a sticker that was added to this book. It's a peel-on sticker. And it says, the contents, views, opinions of this book reflect the author and are not those of the Bigelow Foundation or NIDS. And then again, there's another one on the back that says, sponsored by the Bigelow Foundation, right there. So, I don't know. He reminds me a lot of the Smoking Man. I don't know that he smokes, but he reminds me of that guy. He's kind of creepy. And it's creepy that he knew about all of us back then. So, and now he's been very silent, although he was interviewed on 60 Minutes. What was that, about 3-4 years ago, Mary? Maybe 5. And
Maybe 5.
Yeah, more like 5. And I had to hand it to him the way he looked at the interviewer who was trying to poke fun at him. And he said, "Well, you really believe there's an alien? Hell, they're here right now." You know, like that was a stupid question to ask. And, you know, this is a guy that's probably got as much money as Elon Musk, maybe more. I don't know. But he has always taken a very deep interest in the subject, and he knew Roger Lear, and he was kept up on what we were all doing, especially Whitley, myself, and Roger, working around the implants and all the other stuff. He kept his hands in it. We don't hear from him anymore. And hello, Earl Grey Anderson. We'll be seeing you tomorrow. It's so nice of you to be here. Yeah, Bigelow, Smoking Man, exactly. Isn't that funny? You know, I mean, it's, wow. We have been consistently, pretty much, sharing back and forth between watching X-Files and one of our other favorite shows is The Umbrella Academy. Love that show. Just wonderful stuff. But yeah, watching X-Files, just, boy, you know, I mean, yes, it's science fiction, but he's thrown all the other stuff in there too with it, and it's just a really interesting mix. And I found it very interesting that the lone gunmen were driving a 71 VW bus. That's what we have. One of our cars. So they have good taste in cars. So how is everyone? It's too bad there's not a way you guys can just have a microphone. But I need to see that. I saw it advertised. Which? The Umbrella Academy? You know, we're constantly, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. I know that one. It just cracked me up when they used the Baby Shark song. It's a very clever show. And does the Umbrella Academy relate to our experience? I would have to say yes. There are lots of Easter eggs in there, which tells me that somebody involved in that show, in that comic book series, knows something. Going to see Alien Romulus on Thursday. Heard it's cool. Yeah, you know, hopefully it's a comeback. Yeah, the original was really amazing, and the second one was cool, and then I don't know. After that, maybe it's just me. Huh. I see that. Thank you, Earl. So, Judy, you watch the Umbrella Academy. Yeah, it's and you're surviving creator's life. Good. All green here. Mindful. Good, 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 good. I'm finer than frog's hair. That's that's good. I like that. I have to remember that one because that's pretty fine. um, yeah. So you love the Umbrella Academy. Yeah, it's as witty and intelligent as the first two Deadpool movies. I haven't seen the third one. It's that level of humor, but at the same time, it really has something to say. Um, and of course, anything with alternate timelines and time travel I have a deep fascination for because we experience this all the time, whether we know it or not. Different realities and different timelines, and like I know the timeline we're in right now can't possibly be right. Ever since 2016, I went, "What the heck happened? What is this? Man in a High Castle?" Which is another one. And does Man in a High Castle relate to our experience? Yes, I believe it does. You probably think that everything that happens relates to the experience with me. It kind of does. Because as Mary's always saying, it's life. So I sent out a notice today to a number of people and to Yvonne and to Whitley, and it's on the forum too. If you're not uh, going to the forum and participating in it, you might want to because it's the one place you can go, unlike Facebook and other places like it, where you can put a post, start a conversation, share some pictures, share some videos, and um, you can go back there and you can find them. You don't have to endlessly scroll down that ridiculous matrix that they use in Facebook, where they make you repeat yourself over and over again. So it's really a good place, and I put up something there. There's been a lot going on with me. It's interesting. It's different. Of course, the experience is always evolving. It never has remained the same, and I think that's by design. But what's happening is it hasn't happened in a few days, but when it happens, it's really quite striking. I'll wake up, I'll look around the room, I'll look at Mary, I'll close my eyes again, and by golly, it's just like my eyes are open. I start seeing all these incredibly distinct, sharp. Um, Whitley calls them hieroglyphics. They kind of look like that. There's that they are. They're it's some kind of symbols, and they're not fuzzy. They're not like maybe I'm imagining this. I open my eyes up, look around again, close my eyes again. Sure enough, they're there. They're real. I'm awake. Pinch myself, but I haven't been able to make much sense out of them. And Whitley said the same thing to me. He said, I just hope that they settle in somehow to me and it comes through in what I'm writing and what I'm trying to share. And I understand it that way. And I think that's actually true. I think that's how it's working. But I mean, I remember one of the symbols was a skull on its side, like it was 1/3 of it was submerged into the ground or to a line, a straight line going across it, and the skull was kind of into it. And it was a very rudimentary, you know, graphic. It didn't look like a real skull. So, what is the main topic today, Bigfoot? Bigfoot, Littlefoot. Uh, well, the main topic is, of course, what we're about to watch in a few minutes at 5 o'clock, which is my latest uh, story that I tell. And I really got tired of sitting in front of the camera and editing and looking at myself. Whenever you relive one of these experiences, it always becomes emotional. Um, if you watched Mario last night, Woods, he did a really good job of holding back, but I could see it. And so what I did this time was, because I'm experimenting, uh, I did an all CGI recreation of the entire experience as I recalled it in being in Burney with my grandmother for that year and what happened that night. And I did it and I narrated to it. I watched it after I finished editing it and putting sound and music to it, and I just sort of commented So I don't know if it's exactly what I was hoping for or not, but it's really interesting. It's a great experiment, I think, and it's got some really amazing visuals in it. And some are, but that's what we've been. That's what we're here for. Uh, Bigfoot, little foot, hey Bigfoot. So as always with the pre-premiere, we should be talking about the show, but yet I can't talk too much about it because I don't want to give it away. It's a little longer this time. It's about 14 minutes in length. And I'm working on another one, which is about the experience that where I went to what I called for the longest time, I called it the park. And again, it was one of these experiences where you knew darn well you were wide awake and you were in an entirely different world, entirely different reality. It wasn't Earth. You saw lots of other people. Some of them were human, some of them were humanoid, but didn't look human. All different types of beings I saw, but I saw a lot of things that were common, like the big flying cigars with the windows on the side, and I saw them landing and people getting out. I saw what looked like stewardesses or flight attendants in blue. They were gray-haired ladies, very beautiful in these uniforms, and they had upside-down wings that almost looked where they were ancient-looking, Babylonian type of style art, where the wings went down like this, like a mustache, and in the middle was like an amethyst or a jewel. I remember looking at that really close and taking that in. Why is my phone making noise? Why is my phone making noise? So Mary's just reminding me to talk about the newsletter. So I'm working on that one, and I'm working on it very slowly because it's a lot more elaborate. And this time we have very realistic human CGI characters in it that look like real people, and they talk and they have facial expression. And so that's been taking up a lot of my time working on that. And again, I'm trying to recreate something as accurately as I possibly can that I experienced. And I hope to experience again because I never wanted to leave that place. It was an incredible place. So the newsletter, yes. As it turns out, YouTube did not send out notices about Mario Woods last night. They're supposed to, because all of you are subscribers, and when you're a subscriber and we put up,
and you hit the notification button.
Yeah, you hit the notification button. It's very important you do that. You will be notified that we just uploaded a new show that's about to be Friday night, Mario Woods, and many of you didn't get it. There's another way you can get this because YouTube can't be trusted for some reasons that I don't fully understand. And that is to subscribe to our newsletter. If you send us an email right there, Mary does a weekly newsletter about the show, much like Whitley does for Unknown Country, Dreamland. So this way he makes sure, and we make sure, that you know what we're up to, what to expect, and what's coming up. So, and we cover a lot of detail in the newsletter about what we're working with. Like, for instance, Mary said the other day, too bad Whitley can't get Whitley to do a show. And well, he's done live stream for us. And I said, I'll ask him. So I asked him. He said, sure. So sometime in November, he's going to be coming to the studio, and we're going to take an incident, an experience he had from transformation called the White Angel, and we're going to have him read that and talk about that to camera while I recreate what he saw and what he experienced. Whitley and I, in all the years we've known each other, we haven't done this yet. And we've been talking about it because he's been watching what I'm doing with the visual effects. And I said, Whitley, you can write something and I can bring it to life. So anyway, that's going on, and you will know about these things if you subscribe to the newsletter. So I'm hoping you will all sign up for that, because another great way for us to stay in touch with you, besides this way and messages on YouTube, and we rarely use Facebook. I'm hardly over there. I go over once in a while and look. just to make sure that I'm not ignoring someone. I just fish. I used to fish a lot. So let's see. I found this channel about 6 months ago. Oh, I see. And some of the graphic readings are exactly what I experienced back in 1969. Exactly. Huh? It's interesting, Bigfoot, that when I started doing drawings and artwork for Yvonne Smith back in the 1990s, I started getting letters and eventually emails because we had rudimentary internet back then. I call it that because it's nothing like today. And I started getting that from a lot of people, including Whitley. Called up one day, wanted to talk to me about it. So, because he had seen my art, and I always find that really interesting because I see a lot of drawings that people have done. They're trying to draw what they saw, and yeah, they have black eyes and they have big heads, but they're not really round like mine were, and they didn't have the real pointy chins and the extra large eyes and sort of wrap around. But then they would tell me I just couldn't get that. That was the best I could do. So, because I'm thinking, they're seeing things entirely different, which is very possible because I'm not assuming that everything that's coming here and interacting with us is all from the same race of beings. It just couldn't be. There's been too much variation. From humanoid types to reptilians, you name it, tall whites, and the Pleiadians that Billy Meyer saw. And yeah, I need to go back and look at, I had that book that Billy put out back in the 80s. Oh, thank you, Justin. And thank you for your amazing comments on the forum too. Very, very thoughtful. And it's very kind of you to say, I would love nothing better to get the opportunity to make Communion into a movie and be allowed to direct it. And I would make it exactly the way it felt to me when I read the book. And when I saw the movie that Philippe did, man, it didn't even come close. It was really disappointing. So, yeah, there are trillions and trillions of life forms out there. There just has to be. Yeah, I agree. I can hear him saying it now. But we're going to find a lot of them are humanoid because I think that the double helix and that strain of DNA has been spread far and wide like a dandelion to so many worlds. And of course, the conditions on those worlds, environmentally speaking, would greatly alter how those forms would evolve. But there seems to be a predominance of bipedal beings with heads and arms and all that stuff. So it just seems to make sense. I think, a lot of people complained about Star Trek, said, God, every week they got a new humanoid race, they got a different scab on their head. Well, I think part of that was budget, but also I believe that Gene really believed that we would find a lot of humanoid species out there in space. We would not be alone in that. So hardly. And that's what makes them so easy for them to come here. I mean, if they're Pleiadians and they're here, only someone with a keen eye and an awareness of it would really even be sense that they were in your midst. Whitley talked about being at the open market in Santa Monica and how he was brushed into by one of them who she hit him on his hip. And I thought that was kind of cool. That cracked me up. But he said, I could tell she was not from here. And I knew exactly what he meant because both Mary and I have experienced seeing humans in day-to-day life on the street that some kind of detector built into you senses right away that person is not one of us. I don't know. Do you get that? You ever run into that? How's that for a topic to talk about? Anyone? You've heard that several times recently. Seen one in Connecticut. So what did you see? Hey guys, second lid, kind of protective shield. Those I truly accept, well, accept, but feel, Gerard, that the black eye covers are exactly that. Because I have this memory of the female one pulling them off, and she had this beautiful eye underneath it, and um, imagine we land in another world that's not advanced at all, and we get out of our ships and we're wearing sunglasses. How are they going to describe us, right? So, we wear sunglasses to protect our eyes. And in fact, we even have glasses that will give us information about our surroundings and connect with the internet and Google Glass, things like that. So it's something along those lines. But I remember taking it out when I had was all black and the other one was a beautiful eye. Have any of you experienced that? I met a bird. What? I met a bird with human eyes in a dream. Lost me. Huh. Yeah, they seem to like bookstores. I mean, how many of you? I mean, I'm sure many of you have read Communion and Breakthrough and Transformation, and there's that whole scene that Whitley's friend Ed ran into, where he was in a bookstore, and these two women, or they were in overcoats and hats and stuff, and they were freaking communion grays of some type in there at a rack full of his books, reading through one and commenting on it and how he got that wrong and this. You remember that? Was that Ed Conroy? I think so. If Whitley's listening, he'll correct me, but I think it was. So, do you guys remember that? I mean, when's the last time any of you read Communion? Because I really believe that we need to go back. It's been a long time. We need to go back and read through those books again, because I'm reading through one of them right now, and I'm just like, God, the synchronicities and the things that are in there connect with me even more than they did back then. And there were things I forgot about that I remember about myself and my own experience to this day that were just there over and over and over again. The high strangeness. Whitley, when he writes about this experience, he really just paints it like it is for him. The whole part where his son was missing from bed. Do you remember that? He woke up. He thought he saw a being going through past his doorway. So he gets up and he looks through the house. He goes into Andrew's bedroom and he sees a big clump of bed covers, and he assumes he's there. He goes and checks the rest of the house. He comes back. He checks the covers. He's not there. He wasn't there. He's nowhere in the house. He gets panicked. He goes outside the house with the flashlight. And as he's walking along, he becomes aware of this dark shape just above the trees. And as he walked, it followed him the same way as when you're walking and there's a full moon, it seems to follow you, except this was much closer. So it wasn't that effect. And he could hear Andrew, and he could hear someone talking to Andrew. Reading that again just gave me the chills, because it's more than the metal craft and seeing the beings. There's this other level to it that's just so highly strange. It's like what Carl Sagan said, that, when we really did meet aliens, it'd be stranger than anything we could imagine. And that's certainly true. And I think he even said that in confirmation. So I highly recommend, if you have those books, you need to go back and look through them again. You don't have to read the whole thing, but just skim through them. It's amazing what you'll find there. Oh, the tall way line had human eyes. Yeah, that's Judy. That's the Angel in White. I think it was that was that chapter, and the way he describes her. And that's probably the one that we're going to do with him in November, because I was very attracted to that. Hmm. Yeah, well, then there's those really small blue beings too, and they were really interesting, and they kind of didn't look right in communion. Or you're listening to it on Audible, and yeah, it is harrowing. I mean, we all have gone through a great deal with all this, and there really needs to be a better film of that made. You know, it really does. You read the first half, Shelby. Wow. Well, finish it. It's great. Um, I know you read a book like that, and it just puts you in another world. When you put it down, you just can't seem to shake it. So, oh, thank you, Anne. Thank you very much. Supported for the support. Yeah, somebody commented on my saying I have long COVID. That's why my nose drips like this. So I just I don't know about that. Why does it happen every time I'm talking to you guys? It's a pretty selective bug, isn't it? I go see Whitley, or I talk to Whitley at Runs, or anyone else has had the experience. Yeah, I could do it justice, but you know what, Judy, and thank you very much for saying that. No one's going to let me do that. Well, welcome back, Donna. Welcome back. Sorry you were taken ill. Yeah, it was. It was hard to go to sleep. You kind of laid there and you watched all around you. Eventually, you fell asleep for a while. I don't do that anymore. Sometimes I do it. I'll get in bed and Mary's already asleep, and I just kind of look around and I listen to the house, and then I think, well, if they're going to do something, they're going to do something. So I go to sleep. It's stress. Yeah, well, thank you, Justin. I appreciate that. I would love it. I really would. It'd be a hard thing to do because making feature motion pictures is very demanding. I've been involved in many, many, many of them throughout my career, and it's really one of the most demanding jobs uh, there is. It's I know there are other jobs that are far more demanding, like being a nurse, working in the medical profession, trying to save people's lives. I can't compare it with that, but the hours, the stress, the way you're pushed hard by the people with the money, it killed a lot of my friends. They didn't make it as far as I did, so I'm lucky. Yeah, possible. No, because it's here, it's at home. I can go to other people's homes. It doesn't matter where I could be in the car. So hi, Donna. I'm saving lives. Maybe. I don't know. Fishing is good for science. Jeez. Laughter saves lives too. Um, so anyway, I love my train. My allergies are just like really getting worse and worse as I talked to you. I see there's something here in private chat. Oh, that was Mary. So yeah, so there's been stuff going on. Definitely, it's subtle. I've been waking up on top of the covers more frequently with the covers neatly folded to one side. No explanation for it, because whenever I get up in the night, I go back to bed. I always pull the covers back over me. Always. Of course, there was that night that I don't know if we shared this with you or not, that Mary got up to go to the bathroom, and I wasn't in bed. So she checked the bathroom, figuring I'd be there. I wasn't there. She checked the house. I wasn't there. She checked the back room, which is across the courtyard, and I wasn't anywhere on the property that she could find. And that was also a night when I woke up on top of the covers with them neatly folded. It's always the same way they're folded, too. It's like a nice little V, sort of long arrow shape, folded at a 45-degree angle. So that's been going on. I'm not. I don't remember a lot, but what I do have is I wake up, and it's usually, come to think of it, Saturday mornings. I'll wake up with just a strong message in my head, like, you need to write this. Go do it. It's the first thing you're going to do. Get your tea, go write this. And I do. And that's what many of the posts I've been making in the forum and in the community and on Substack are messages, I believe, that I'm supposed to share with you. It's hard to know for sure. Is it coming from me? Is it coming from them? But I was talking to Mary about this morning, and it always goes back to the same thing. In your heart, in your intuition, in your gut, you know when something's right. When you first meet people, you get a feeling from them, unless they're blocking, where you know this is someone I really like, or I get good feelings from, or beware. Those feelings are almost always correct, with very rare exceptions. So if my gut, my heart tells me that these really are messages, then I guess they are. Do you guys get messages? Oh, Justin, did you? Oh, yeah. No, I did not. And I'm pretty plugged in. So where was that? Thank you, Rachel. Where was that? Where was that talked about? Reported? Trust your gut. Yes. Fasting. God, I only do that before colonoscopies. The only time I'll ever fast. Synchronicity all the time. Yeah, I know. Yes, Creator's Life says yes. So, well, I hope you like what I did tonight. Edwards Air Force Base. Who reported that? There's going to be a lot more mass sightings, and they're quite frequent. And I know that if Mary and I find time and we can go and sit out in the backyard for a couple hours, we're bound to see something. I've been seeing stuff, and I did talk about that odd craft that went over, that looked like it was being escorted by a helicopter. But when I think about it now, it wasn't a helicopter. It was humming, but it wasn't like the hum coming from an osprey. It was really different. And when I looked through those powerful binoculars that Mary just got us, the Celestron ones for observing sky, what I saw was very similar looking to a video that was shared in the Cyril Yvonne Smith's group, which I'm part of, this morning. And I looked at, or actually it was the day before, and I looked at it. She thought she had captured a shooting star on video, but this was a sphere, and inside the sphere were these little sparkling, twinkling little, very in focus lights. So it wasn't like her iPhone had zoomed in and was out of focus. I don't think that was the case, but it goes this way, and then it stops and turns like this and goes back the other way. So obviously that was not a shooting star. I don't know if anybody witnessed anything like that, but it was so odd looking, and kind of gave me the willies because it was very similar to what I saw last week. So the cameras at home, I've got one of our high-end cameras that It's a Panasonic, and it's very good in low light levels. There's a very good zoom lens on it. It's got a fixed zoom lens. The other one's a cinema camera, so it doesn't have as interchangeable lenses. But this one's just got this fixed zoom on it. And if I zoom in, unlike cell phones, it will remain sharp and in focus. So it's my hope to get something to share with you. Jared, thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I would never expect it to be any kind of proof for anyone that didn't know me, because they're just going to assume that I faked it no matter what. They were talking about it on, what'd you call it? Twitter X or whatever it is. I'm sure the original source, huh? I'll have to ask Whitley about it. He may not know about it, but he has his people that can plug us in. Low hum, huh, Donna? Well, there's another sound that I hear too, and I've been hearing it for a long, long time. In fact, it started during the 90s. I woke up one night. I was in bed. My late wife was sound asleep, and I heard this sound, and I can kind of emulate it. Sounds like a didgeridoo, doesn't it? I go, what the hell is that? It must be something on the house. I went and checked the furnace. I went into the back room to check that the machines weren't on, the laundry and what have you. I couldn't find it. And everywhere I went, there it was. So I had a session with Yvonne that day, and I went to her place. It's very quiet there because she used to do her sessions under hypnosis in her house. She had a very lovely house, very large, and had a room that was very spacious and a nice couch. And I remember laying there on the couch. It's very quiet. And I could hear the hum. And I said, what the hell? And then we went for a star party, and we went way up in the mountains. And I walked into the forest deep by myself. It was spooky. I walked in there. And I stood there, and I could hear it. And everywhere I went from then on, for the rest of my life until today, I could hear it. And it changes frequency, and it changes rhythm. And I don't have the slightest idea what it is. I know there's been lots of shows talked about the Taos sound and sounds like this, and they tried to say it was coming from pipes, plumbing. They detected a lot of it was in fluids moving through it. Well, that's a good explanation, but where the heck were those pipes in the middle of a forest? Or in the desert, when I've been out in the desert and I hear it loud as can be? I must have some pretty good sewer systems underneath those dry lake beds. Or is it something else underground? So that's what oh yeah, guys, that's what, So some of you have heard or do hear that sound. Yeah, I would talk to Yvonne. And I will always promote Yvonne, not because she's my old friend, near and dear. Also, she's part of Breaking the Silence, very much so. She's a contributor to it, a producer. But I've seen a lot of other people do this work with people who have these experiences. And what I see that Yvonne does is that she is so neutral. She does not lead people. She doesn't say, I want to take you back to a time when you saw some flying saucers. She would say, I want to take you back to a time that night in 1994 when you experienced something you couldn't explain. Well, she wouldn't even say that. She would just say, to when you had an experience and tell me what you see. Because the minute you say something like, I want to take you back to a time when you saw flying saucers, you're going to see flying saucers. Well, at least that's what's suggested. So she's very, very, very careful not to do that. She's very, 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 very professional. I can't emphasize this enough. She does things by the book. She doesn't break the rules. And I think the information that she is gathering from people under hypnosis is very legitimate, as legitimate as if she worked with a victim of a crime and they were trying to get that person to remember the face, to remember details about it, because they use hypnotherapists all the time to do that, and it's very effective. Yvonne is in that category. And I'm not going to mention names or comment on anyone else because that's just not right, but I have seen a great deal, and I have not seen people as effective and as professional as Yvonne. So that's why I recommend her, because I want you to have the best chance you can have to recapture memories to that you may have lost or may have been repressed. So, and if she can't do it, she knows good people to recommend. So I would go on her recommendation. So, wow, there's quite a few of you in here. That's amazing. I can't begin to thank you all for the support, for how much you enjoy the channel. I see it all the time. Well, Judy, you're going to be out here soon, visiting. So maybe you might want to call her before you do. And I just, Mary and I both were very humbled by it, because it's, if you read what I wrote this morning, then you know that we're going to remain truthful about this. We're going to allow you without conditions to tell your story. And it's not about how many hits we get or how many super stickers we get or how many views we get or anything like that. Judy, thank you. Jeez. What timing, huh? No, thank you. Appreciate it. But we're going to keep going. It's really hard at times. You reach a point where, God, you're doing so much work, but it's so important, not just, because it helps us, it helps you. And we're helping each other all together by being able to get together and talk about this stuff and share it. And Mary's always got her finger on the airlock. I mean, we had a guy last night become a subscriber to YouTube long enough for 5 minutes so he could get in there and call right away at the very beginning. He called Mario Woods and myself a couple of buttholes. And I know where this is coming from. To quote someone running for president, I know they're kind. And there's a lot of other channels that see what we're experiencing is entirely different than what we do, and they're fanatics about it. And so sometimes their people come over and pick on us. And so Mary's very, very sharp, recognizes it right away, and their comments are removed and they're kicked out and they can't get back in. So we don't need that. You don't need that. You do not need that. None of us need that. So thank Mary, because she's. If you ever watched the remake of Battlestar Galactica, another great show. If you've never seen it, watch it. Does it relate? Yes. But there's a great bit about the airlock in that show. So I'm going to wrap it up here. And I'm going to thank you again. And I'm sending you all kinds of love as you've been sending us. And God, just thank you so much. And I hope you enjoy the show. We'll see you in there on comments. Mary will be monitoring the comments. And we'll see you again next week. I love you a lot, I really do. Thank you.